Your personality decides how people treat you, and your confidence decides how far you go. Right now, people are judging you within seconds. At work, in public, even online. They notice the way you speak, the way you carry yourself, and the way you react. If you don't control those things, you're letting others control the way they see you. Most people wait for confidence to magically appear. They think it will come with time. It doesn't. You build it by taking small, intentional steps every single day. And the same goes for your personality. It grows when you actively work on it. In this video, I'm going to give you simple, practical, daily tips you can start using right now to improve both. No fluff, no theory, just real actions that make people notice you, respect you, and take you seriously. Stay with me until the end, because the changes you make today can completely shift your life. Chapter 1. Look people in the eyes when they talk. When you want to improve your personality and confidence, one of the most powerful actions you can take is to look people in the eyes when they talk. This might sound simple, but it's not something everyone does. Many avoid it. They look away, down at the floor, or over someone's shoulder. Sometimes they do it out of nervousness, other times out of habit. But here's what you need to know. Eye contact is not just about looking. It's about connection. It's about showing the other person that you are present, that you value them, and that you respect yourself enough to be seen. Think about the last time you spoke to someone who kept looking away. How did it feel? Did you feel fully listened to? Probably not. You might have felt they were distracted, disinterested, or even hiding something. Now imagine speaking to someone who looks directly at you with calm, steady eyes. You feel like they are really hearing you, like they care about the conversation, like they are confident in themselves. That's the difference. This is why mastering eye contact changes how people see you and how you see yourself. When you look someone in the eyes, you send a message without saying a word. You say, "I'm here, I'm listening, I'm confident in who I am." And when you make this a habit, it begins to change how you carry yourself in every interaction. You become more comfortable in your own skin because you are no longer avoiding human connection. You are embracing it. Now, you might think, "But Jim, what if I feel nervous when I look people in the eye?" That's natural. Many people feel that way at first. But here's the truth. Confidence is not something you wait for. It's something you build. If you wait until you feel completely confident to make eye contact, you'll be waiting forever. You start by doing it even when you feel nervous. You start small. Maybe you hold eye contact for just a few seconds at a time. Then you increase it. With practice, it stops feeling uncomfortable and starts feeling natural. Here's how you can start building this skill today. First, when someone speaks to you, turn your body slightly toward them. Remove distractions. Don't glance at your phone or around the room. Focus. Look into their eyes. Not in an intense or aggressive way, but with a calm and steady presence. If it helps, notice the color of their eyes. This keeps your focus naturally in place. When you respond, keep that same steady gaze for a few seconds before looking away briefly, then return to it. This creates a rhythm that feels natural and keeps the connection alive. Pay attention to how people respond when you do this. You will notice they lean in more, they share more openly, they treat you with more respect. And here's something important. You'll also notice that you feel more in control of the conversation. You'll feel grounded, stable, and clear. That's what real confidence feels like. Eye contact also shapes the impression people form about you. In business, strong eye contact communicates reliability and authority. In personal relationships, it shows sincerity and trust. In every area of life, it tells people you believe in yourself. And the more you practice it, the more it becomes part of your personality. Of course, you don't want to overdo it. Constant, unbroken staring can make people uncomfortable. Confidence is about balance. You want enough eye contact to show presence and respect, but not so much that it feels unnatural. Think of it as being fully there in the moment, with no rush to escape the interaction. When they speak, your eyes tell them, "You matter to me right now." And when you speak, your eyes tell them, "I believe what I'm saying." Over time, this simple habit begins to reshape how you see yourself. You will notice you no longer shrink back in conversations. You no longer feel invisible in a group. You stop doubting whether you belong in a room. You start to feel that your voice matters. And because you feel it, others feel it too. When you walk into a room and meet someone's gaze, you make an immediate impression. People notice, they remember you. You stand out, not because you are loud or trying to take up space, but because you carry yourself with quiet certainty. You show that you are not afraid of being seen. This is one of the foundations of both personality and confidence. There's also a deeper benefit here. When you practice looking people in the eyes, you train yourself to stay in the present moment. When you practice looking people in the eyes, you train yourself to stay in the present moment. You are not lost in your head worrying about how you look or what to say next. You are engaged, you are aware, you are connected. And people feel it. This presence is magnetic. It draws people to you. It makes them want to spend more time with you. And that's how real relationships are built, whether personal or professional. If you struggle with shyness or self-doubt, this habit can help you break out of that shell. At first, it will feel like a conscious effort. You will have to remind yourself over and over, but eventually it becomes automatic. And when it does, you'll notice you no longer avoid people, you approach them. You no longer speak softly, hoping not to be noticed. You speak clearly, because you know your words have weight. Your personality becomes sharper, more defined, more authentic. This is why I believe that learning to look people in the eyes is one of the fastest ways to improve your personality and confidence. It costs you nothing. You can start right now. And yet, it changes everything, from the way people treat you to the way you feel about yourself. So, here's your challenge for today. In every conversation you have, whether it's with a friend, a colleague, a family member, or even a cashier at the store, make eye contact. Hold it long enough to show you're listening and that you're not in a rush. If it feels awkward at first, push through it. That's the moment you're building strength. That's when the change is happening. In the coming days, you will notice that conversations feel more natural. People will open up more to you. They will remember you as someone who listens, and you will start to carry yourself with a level of confidence that doesn't need to be forced. It will come from knowing that you can face people fully, without fear. Improving your personality and confidence is not about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about becoming more comfortable being who you are, and one of the most powerful ways to do that is to stop hiding, stop looking away. Look people in the eyes when they talk. Stand there, be present, own that moment. This is a small action, but it sends a strong message. You believe in yourself, and you're not afraid to be seen. If you start practicing this today and commit to it daily, you'll see the difference, not in months or years, but in days. Because the moment you start showing up fully in your conversations, people will see you differently. More importantly, you will see yourself differently. And that change, that shift in how you feel about yourself, is the real reward. Chapter 2. Say your opinion even if it feels uncomfortable. Speaking your opinion when it feels uncomfortable is one of the most important skills you can ever develop for building confidence and shaping a strong personality. It is not just about having a voice, it's about using it, even when your heart is racing and you would rather stay silent. People often avoid sharing their real thoughts because they fear being judged, disliked, or misunderstood. But if you let fear decide when you speak, you'll spend your life agreeing with things you don't agree with, following paths you don't believe in, and hiding the real you from the world. That's not living fully, and it's certainly not how you build strength of character. There will be times when you know the truth, but saying it will cause tension. You might be in a meeting where everyone is nodding along with a bad idea. You might be with friends who are all agreeing on something you know is wrong. In moments like these, your mind starts debating, should I say something? What if they think I'm wrong? What if I make things awkward? That inner hesitation is exactly where confidence is tested and built. The easiest choice is to stay quiet. The better choice, the one that shapes your personality, is to speak. When you share your opinion, even in uncomfortable moments, you prove to yourself that your voice matters. You stop waiting for approval to exist. And the more you do this, the less fear controls you. You begin to trust yourself in every environment. That trust becomes part of your identity. It shows in how you stand, how you talk, and how people respond to you. It's important to understand that saying your opinion doesn't mean being rude, harsh, or forcing your ideas on others. Confidence is not aggression. The goal is not to win every discussion. It's to express yourself honestly while respecting others. That balance is what earns respect. People may not agree with you, but they will remember you as someone who stands by their beliefs. And over time, that is far more valuable than being known as someone who always agrees just to keep the peace. The fear of speaking up usually comes from a few places. Sometimes it's a fear of rejection, worrying that if someone disagrees, it means they dislike you. Other times, it's the fear of making a mistake in front of others. And in many cases, it's simply a habit built over years of staying silent. The good news is that habits can be broken. You can train yourself to speak up, just like you can train yourself to work out or learn a new skill. It starts with small steps. If you're not used to sharing your opinion, begin in lower stakes situations. If you're in a group deciding where to eat, say what you prefer, instead of saying, I don't mind. If you're discussing a topic you know something about, share your knowledge instead of waiting for someone else to say it first. These small moments teach your mind that nothing bad happens when you speak up. And each time you do it, you take another step toward breaking the pattern of silence. Once you start building that habit, you'll notice something powerful. Speaking your opinion is not just about the moment. It shapes how people view you long term. In your workplace, it positions you as someone who can contribute ideas and think independently. In your personal life, it makes you someone who is real and trustworthy. People can sense when you are authentic, and authenticity attracts respect. Now, there's another truth you need to accept. Sometimes when you speak your opinion, people won't agree with you. That's okay. Disagreement is part of life. What's not okay is silencing yourself just to avoid it. When you're willing to share your perspective, knowing that some people will reject it, you are free. You no longer depend on everyone's approval to feel secure. That freedom is a core part of true confidence. One of the biggest mistakes people make is thinking they need the perfect words before they can speak up. They overthink every detail, and by the time they're ready, the moment has passed. Understand this. You don't have to be perfect to be valuable. Your opinion is worth hearing, even if it's not perfectly polished. Confidence comes from expressing yourself clearly and honestly, not from delivering a flawless speech. To make your opinion land well, focus on your delivery. Speak at a steady pace. Keep your tone calm but firm. Look at the person or people you're addressing, Avoid fidgeting or looking away. These small physical actions reinforce your words with presence. People don't just hear what you say, they feel how you say it. And when your presence matches your message, your words carry weight. Saying what you believe also changes how you see yourself. You start to feel more responsible for your own life. You stop waiting for others to take the lead. You stop letting situations pass by where your voice could have made a difference. This builds a sense of pride. Not the arrogant kind, but the kind that comes from knowing you didn't hide. That pride becomes a quiet source of strength you carry everywhere. There's also another benefit you may not think about. When you speak your opinion, you give permission for others to do the same. Many people stay quiet for the same reasons you might have. They're afraid of judgment, of awkwardness, of making a mistake. When you break that silence, you make it easier for them to follow. This creates better conversations, deeper relationships, and stronger teams. You will face moments where the discomfort of speaking feels overwhelming. Maybe your voice shakes. Maybe your heart races. That's not a sign to stop. That's a sign you're growing. Growth never feels completely comfortable. If you wait for the nerves to go away before you speak up, you'll stay in the same place. The courage to speak while nervous is what transforms you. One useful way to prepare yourself for uncomfortable moments is to think about your values ahead of time. Know what matters to you. If you are clear about what you stand for, it's easier to speak up when a situation challenges those values. You won't have to scramble to decide, you'll already know where you stand. This clarity makes your confidence stronger, because you're not just speaking randomly, you're speaking from a place of conviction. You should also understand that speaking your opinion is not about dominating a conversation, it's about contributing. That means you also have to listen. Confidence is knowing your opinion matters, but wisdom is knowing that others' opinions matter too. When you respect both, you become the kind of person people want to hear from, because they know you're not just talking, you're engaging. Over time, speaking your opinion in uncomfortable moments becomes less about courage and more about habit. You'll notice that you no longer hesitate as much. You'll begin to feel comfortable addressing a room, stating your position in a meeting, or expressing a different viewpoint among friends. What once felt like a risk will start to feel natural. The people who succeed in life are rarely the ones who always stayed safe and silent. They are the ones who are willing to risk being uncomfortable in order to be true to themselves. If you want to build a personality that stands out and confidence that holds up under pressure, you need to be one of those people. Start practicing today. The next time you feel that hesitation rising in your chest, the urge to stay quiet when you have something real to say, choose the harder option. Speak. Say your opinion clearly and respectfully. Then notice how you feel afterward. You'll realize the discomfort passes quickly, but the strength you gain stays with you. Do it again tomorrow, and again the next day. This is how you change who you are in the eyes of others, and more importantly, in your own eyes. Each time you speak your opinion, even when it feels uncomfortable, you are proving to yourself that your voice matters, that your presence matters, and that you have the courage to stand by what you believe. Over time, this will not just improve your confidence, it will become the foundation of the person you are proud to be.
Chapter 3. Greet people first to show you are confident. Greeting people first is one of the simplest yet most powerful habits you can develop if you want to project confidence and leave a strong impression. Many people underestimate how much influence this one action has on how others see you and how you feel about yourself. When you take the initiative to greet someone, you are showing that you are open, approachable, and secure enough to be the one to start the interaction. You're not waiting to be noticed, you're taking the first step to connect. That sends a powerful signal to the world about who you are. Most people wait for others to make the first move. They look down at their phones, pretend to be busy, or wait until they're sure the other person will acknowledge them first. The problem with this approach is that it keeps you passive. It makes you appear uncertain, even if you're not. Confidence is about showing presence without hesitation, and greeting people first is a clear and direct way to do that. When you walk into a room and say good morning or hi, how are you before anyone else does, you set the tone. You're establishing the energy of the interaction from the start. People respond to that leadership. They see you as someone who is comfortable engaging with others. Over time, they begin to expect that you will be the one to bring warmth and positivity to a situation, and that reputation builds trust and respect. It's important to understand that greeting people first is not just about being polite, it's about influence. The first few seconds of any interaction often determine how the rest of it will go. If those seconds are filled with hesitation or silence, you lose an opportunity to shape the exchange. But when you greet first, you're controlling the first impression. You're saying without words, I'm comfortable here, I'm glad to see you, I'm ready to engage. Some people hold back because they feel awkward or fear being ignored. They worry that if they greet someone and don't get the same enthusiasm in return, it will be embarrassing. But that thinking comes from focusing too much on other people's reactions instead of focusing on the action itself. Confidence isn't about guaranteeing a certain outcome, it's about acting from your own strength regardless of how others respond. Even if someone barely acknowledges you, you've still sent the signal to yourself that you are capable of initiating. That self-message matters more than their reply. Greeting first also changes the way you carry yourself in daily life. You walk into spaces with more awareness. You're not just trying to blend into the background, you're participating. You're paying attention to people, noticing their presence, and acknowledging it. This awareness makes you sharper socially because you're not just thinking about yourself, you're thinking about the environment and the people in it. It's worth mentioning that the way you greet people matters. A weak or hesitant greeting can send the opposite message from what you intend. If you mumble or barely look up, you're not projecting confidence. The goal is to make your greeting clear, audible, and paired with genuine eye contact. Stand or sit upright. Speak with enough volume to be heard without shouting. Add a small, natural smile to show warmth. These details combine to create an impression that's both friendly and self-assured. This habit also creates opportunities. People remember those who acknowledge them. They remember feeling seen. If you consistently greet people first, you'll find that more people approach you, more conversations start naturally, and more relationships form. You'll become known as someone who's easy to talk to, and that reputation can open doors socially and professionally. In a workplace, greeting colleagues before they greet you can shift the culture around you. It reduces barriers, increases cooperation, and helps you stand out in a positive way. In social settings, it breaks the tension of unfamiliarity and helps others relax. Even in everyday public situations, a shop, a coffee line, a neighbor's driveway, a simple hello initiated by you can turn a silent moment into a connection. One key to building this habit is to make it automatic. Don't overthink it or wait for the perfect moment. As soon as you see someone you know, greet them. If you're passing a stranger in a friendly environment, give a quick hi or good morning. At first, you may have to consciously remind yourself, but after enough repetition, it becomes second nature. And once it's second nature, your personality starts to be defined by this easy confidence. Greeting people first can also help break patterns of social anxiety. Many people avoid interactions because they fear rejection. They think, if I don't initiate, I can't be turned down. But that fear keeps them from building the social skills that would actually make rejection less likely. By greeting first, you face that fear in small doses. You give yourself proof over and over that starting interactions is not as risky as your mind makes it seem. Over time, those small victories add up to a stronger self-image. You might also notice that when you greet people first, they often mirror your energy. If you greet someone with a clear voice and relaxed expression, they are more likely to respond in kind. This makes interactions smoother and more enjoyable. It also puts you in a position of subtle leadership because you've established the tone and pace of the exchange. For this to be most effective, your greeting should match the context. In a formal setting, you might use good afternoon or nice to see you. In casual settings, hey or hi, how's it going works well. The important thing is that it feels natural coming from you. If you force a greeting that doesn't fit your personality or the situation, it will sound insincere. Confidence is not about pretending. It's about expressing yourself in a way that's real and comfortable. One thing to remember is that greeting first doesn't mean you have to be overly talkative or force conversation. It's about opening the door, not pushing people through it. Sometimes a simple greeting is enough to make a person feel acknowledged. Other times, it might lead to a longer exchange. You let it develop naturally. The win is in the act of initiating, not in controlling where the conversation goes. Over time, you will start to see the ripple effect of this habit. People will greet you back more quickly. You'll find it easier to strike up conversation. You'll notice you feel more relaxed in group situations because you know you can handle those first few seconds with ease. And because you're comfortable taking the lead in those moments, your overall presence will feel stronger and more grounded. When you greet people first, you're also training yourself to be more outward focused. Instead of being caught up in your own thoughts or insecurities, you're paying attention to others. This shift in focus often reduces self-consciousness because you're no longer trapped in your own head. You're engaged with the world around you, and engagement naturally builds confidence. It's worth practicing this even with people you see every day. Don't assume familiarity replaces the need for a greeting. Starting the day by greeting your coworkers, family members or friends sets a positive tone. It shows consistency in your character. People begin to associate you with positive interactions, and that association strengthens relationships over time. There is also a subtle but important internal effect. When you take the initiative to greet someone, you're making a small but intentional choice to act instead of react. This choice reinforces the mindset that you can take control of situations instead of waiting for them to happen to you. That proactive mindset, repeated over and over in small ways, builds a foundation for handling larger challenges with confidence. Greeting people first might seem like a small detail, but it's often the small details that shape how others experience you. Every time you choose to be the one to start the interaction, you are reinforcing the idea that you are comfortable, capable, and confident. And with each repetition, that idea becomes more true, not just in how others see you, but in how you see yourself. If you want to start building this habit right now, pay attention in your next few interactions. Look for the moment before someone else greets you, and step in first. Notice how it feels to take that initiative. At first, it may feel like a conscious effort, but soon it will become part of who you are. And once it's part of who you are, you won't even think about it. It will simply be how you show up in the world. By choosing to greet people first, you're not just being polite. You're shaping your identity as someone who is present, approachable, and unafraid to take the lead. That's the kind of confidence people notice without you having to announce it. It's visible in your actions, in the way you carry yourself, and in the way you make others feel. And when you consistently put that out into the world starts responding to you in a way that confirms exactly what you've been building, a strong, confident, and authentic personality.
Chapter 4. Control your tone so people respect your words. The way you speak can decide whether people truly listen to you or simply hear your words without valuing them. It's not just what you say, it's how you say it.
Your tone carries more weight than you might realize. It can make your message sound strong and reliable, or it can weaken it before your words are even understood. When you control your tone, you show self-control. You show that you are intentional about your message and that you respect both yourself and the people you are speaking to. This is what earns you respect in return. People often focus on choosing the right words, but tone is what gives those words their real meaning. Two people can say the same sentence, but the one with a steady, confident tone will always be taken more seriously. The other, if their tone is shaky, rushed, or too sharp, will struggle to get the same impact, no matter how smart or accurate their words are. That's why developing the ability to control your tone is essential if you want to be someone whose words carry influence. Controlling your tone starts with awareness. Many people don't even realize how they sound when they speak. They may think they are speaking calmly, but others hear tension or impatience, or they may feel passionate, but their tone comes across as aggressive. The first step is to pay attention. Notice how your voice changes when you're under stress, when you're excited, or when you're frustrated. You can even record yourself in conversation to hear what others hear. This can be uncomfortable, but it's one of the fastest ways to recognize what needs adjusting. Once you become aware, the next step is to manage your breathing. A rushed or uneven breath often leads to a rushed tone. People who speak too fast can sound nervous or unsure, even when they are confident in their thoughts. Slowing down your breathing naturally slows down your speech, giving your voice a calmer and more grounded quality. When your voice sounds steady, people are more likely to believe that you are steady. Volume also matters. Speaking too softly can make it seem like you lack conviction, while speaking too loudly can make you appear overbearing. The goal is a balanced volume that matches the setting. In a quiet room, you don't need to raise your voice much. In a large space or noisy environment, you need more projection, but without shouting. Adjusting your volume to fit the moment shows that you are in control of the situation. Tone is also shaped by pace. A rushed pace can overwhelm listeners, while a slow, deliberate pace gives people time to absorb your message. It also signals that you are confident enough to let your words stand without racing to the end. People who rush often sound like they're trying to get the hard part over with. People who pace themselves show that they are comfortable being heard. The emotional quality of your tone can make the difference between building trust and creating resistance. If you speak in a tone that is calm yet firm, you encourage open conversation. If you speak in a tone that is sharp, sarcastic, or impatient, you create defensiveness, even if your words are reasonable. The best communicators choose a tone that matches their intent. If your goal is to persuade, your tone should be inviting. If your goal is to set a boundary, your tone should be clear and unwavering, but not hostile. One of the challenges in controlling your tone is keeping it consistent when emotions run high. Anger, frustration, and even excitement can push your voice to extreme. But in those moments, the person who keeps a controlled tone has the real advantage. When everyone else is raising their voice, the one who stays steady commands attention. This kind of control doesn't come from pretending you don't feel emotions. It comes from training yourself to respond instead of react. A useful habit is to pause before speaking in emotionally charged situations. That small pause allows you to choose your tone before your words leave your mouth. It may only take 2 or 3 seconds, but it can be the difference between saying something in a way that gets heard and saying it in a way that gets dismissed. In professional settings, this pause can keep you from sounding defensive. In personal situations, it can prevent arguments from escalating unnecessarily. Your tone also influences how people remember you after a conversation. If your tone is respectful and balanced, people will associate you with maturity and reliability. If your tone is often sharp or dismissive, they may avoid speaking to you unless they have to. The way you make people feel while you speak lasts longer than the specific words you used. Another way to improve your tone is to watch people who speak well. Pay attention to public speakers, leaders, or even colleagues who have a natural command when they talk. Notice how they use pauses, how they control their volume, and how they balance warmth with authority. You can learn a great deal by observing and then practicing these techniques in your own way. One mistake people make is thinking that controlling tone means sounding flat or emotionless. That's not the goal. You want to keep your natural expressiveness, but you want it to be intentional. A completely flat tone can make you sound disinterested, while uncontrolled highs and lows can make you sound unstable. The middle ground is where confidence lives, expressive enough to engage people, steady enough to earn trust. It's also worth noting that different situations call for different tones. A team meeting where you're motivating others requires more energy in your voice. A serious one-on-one conversation might require a softer, slower delivery. The ability to adjust your tone based on the situation shows adaptability, and adaptability is a form of intelligence people respect. The relationship between tone and respect is especially important when you're trying to influence decisions. Even the best ideas can be ignored if the tone used to deliver them is careless or dismissive. On the other hand, a well-controlled tone can make a modest idea seem more credible. People are more open to listening when they feel respected, and your tone is the first signal of that respect. In moments of disagreement, controlling your tone becomes even more critical. If you raise your voice or sound irritated, the other person will focus on your tone instead of your message. But if you stay calm and speak clearly, they have to engage with your actual point. This can be the deciding factor in whether a conversation ends in progress or in conflict. Developing control over your tone is not something you master in a day. It's built over time through repeated practice in both easy and difficult conversation. You can start right now by paying attention to your next few interactions. Notice how people respond to you. Are they leaning in and engaging, or do they seem closed off? If you see resistance, ask yourself whether it's your words or your tone that might be creating it. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes. Eventually you won't have to consciously think about adjusting your tone. It will happen automatically. This gives you a huge advantage in every area of life, because people will naturally respond to you with more openness and respect. You'll be able to speak your mind without unnecessary conflict. You'll be able to lead without forcing authority. A controlled tone also strengthens your inner confidence. Knowing you can handle any conversation without losing control of your voice gives you a steady kind of self-assurance. You stop worrying about being misunderstood because you know you're presenting your message in the clearest and most respectful way possible. And when you know that about yourself, you speak more often, you share more ideas, and you step into more opportunity. Every conversation is a chance to reinforce this habit. Whether it's a quick exchange with a stranger or a serious discussion with a colleague, make the choice to control your tone. Stand or sit upright, breathe steadily, speak at a pace that allows your words to land, and keep your voice steady. When you do this consistently, people will listen, not because you demanded it, but because you earned it. When people respect your words, they also respect you, and controlling your tone is one of the most reliable ways to make sure that happens. It's a skill worth developing because it serves you everywhere in your work, in your relationships, and in your personal growth. The more you master it, the more powerful your communication becomes, and the more influence you have in shaping your life. Chapter 5. Stand still when speaking to hold full attention. When you speak, every part of your body communicates something, even before people process the words you say. The way you move, the way you hold yourself, the way you stand, it all sends messages to the people watching and listening. If you want your words to carry weight, you need to create the conditions that help people focus entirely on them. One of the most effective ways to do this is to stand still while you speak. Staying grounded physically sends a message of self-control and certainty. It tells your audience, whether it's one person or a room full of people, that you are in command of your message and you are worth listening to. Many people don't realize how distracting unnecessary movement can be. They fidget, shift their weight from one foot to the other, tap their hands, or constantly adjust their clothes. Some pace back and forth without realizing it. These actions might feel natural in the moment, especially if you're nervous, but they dilute the strength of your delivery. People's eyes start following your movements instead of focusing on your words. Their attention shifts from the content of your message to the way you're moving. By eliminating these unnecessary movements, you make it much easier for your message to land. Standing still does not mean being stiff or rigid. It means being stable, composed, and intentional with any movement you make. Your body should support your words, not compete with them. When you are grounded, you create a sense of presence that is impossible to ignore. People instinctively give more attention to someone who appears steady and composed because it communicates confidence and authority. The moment you begin speaking, your audience, whether consciously or unconsciously, starts forming an impression about you. If you appear restless, that impression will be one of uncertainty. If you are still, focused, and calm, that impression will be one of confidence. This is true in every setting: in a job interview, in a meeting, on stage, in a conversation with a friend, or even while introducing yourself to someone new. To stand still effectively, you first need to be aware of your own physical habit. Most nervous movement happens without conscious thought. The next time you speak, pay close attention to what your body does. Do you sway side to side? Do you rock on your heels? Do you cross and uncross your arms? Once you notice these habits, you can start replacing them with a grounded stand. Stand with your feet shoulder-width apart. Keep your weight evenly distributed. Relax your shoulders. Let your arms rest naturally at your sides when you're not using them to emphasize a point. This position not only looks confident, but also feels stable, which helps calm your nerves. Another key part of holding attention is using purposeful movement when you choose to move. If you step forward slightly while making a strong point, it feels intentional and adds emphasis. If you use a hand gesture to illustrate an idea, it draws the listener in. But when you move without purpose, it drains the power from your delivery. People should never feel like you're moving because you're unsure. They should feel like every movement adds something to your words. Standing still while speaking also helps you project your voice more effectively. Constant movement can make your voice sound uneven or rushed. A stable stance allows you to breathe properly, control your tone, and maintain a steady pace. This makes your message sound more deliberate and clear. When your audience hears that steadiness in your voice and sees that steadiness in your posture, they naturally pay closer attention. There's a psychological element to this as well. Stillness in the speaker creates stillness in the listener. When you are composed, you give the audience a reason to focus entirely on you. People sense when someone is fully present in the moment. They can feel when your attention is on the conversation rather than on your own discomfort. That presence is magnetic. It draws people in without you having to force it. It's important to remember that stillness is not about suppressing your energy. Energy is crucial to engaging people, but it should be directed into your words and facial expressions rather than scattered into restless movement. When your energy is focused, it amplifies the meaning of your words instead of competing with them. This is why some of the most compelling speakers in the world can stand in one spot and still hold the attention of hundreds of people. They channel their energy into their message, not into random physical actions. This habit is equally powerful in one-on-one situations. If you're speaking to someone about something important and you keep glancing away, shifting your position, or moving around, they might feel like you're distracted or unsure. But if you stand or sit still, look at them directly, and deliver your thoughts with calm certainty, they will feel the importance of what you're saying. That kind of presence makes people trust you more. Building the habit of stillness while speaking requires practice, especially if you tend to move a lot when nervous. You can start by practicing in low-pressure situations. When you're talking to a friend, focus on keeping your feet planted and your movements minimal. When you're explaining something at work, be aware of how you're standing. Over time, this awareness becomes natural, and your body automatically takes on a more grounded posture when you begin speaking. Stillness also helps you control the pace of the conversation. Movement can often speed you up without you realizing it, making your words feel rushed. When you are still, you have more control over the timing of your delivery. You can pause to let important points sink in, and those pauses will feel deliberate rather than awkward. This makes your communication more powerful because people have time to process what you're saying. In professional settings, this skill can set you apart. People who stand still when they speak often come across as more credible and trustworthy. They appear confident without being arrogant. They create an environment where people want to listen because there's no distraction from the message. In leadership roles, this is invaluable. If you can hold people's attention without relying on movement, your influence grows significantly. Stillness can also help you manage your own nerve. When you're physically grounded, your body feels more stable, and that stability helps settle your mind. Nervousness often shows up in restless movement, so by consciously reducing that movement, you signal to yourself that you are in control. This feedback loop works both ways. The more still you are, the more confident you feel, and the more confident you feel, the more naturally still you become. One common challenge people face is thinking they need to move to seem engaged. While movement can add energy, it should never replace the power of your words. If your message is clear, your tone is steady, and your posture is strong, you don't need constant motion to hold attention. In fact, unnecessary motion often takes away from your message, rather than adding to it. Standing still doesn't mean you can't use gestures, but those gestures should have a purpose. A well-timed hand movement can emphasize a point. A small step forward can signal that something is important, but these actions should be deliberate, not automatic. When your movements are intentional, they enhance your communication rather than distract from it. The key is to make stillness a natural part of how you communicate, not something you only do in formal situations. Practice it in everyday conversations until it becomes second nature. You'll find that people respond to you differently when you are still and focused. They'll listen longer, take your words more seriously, and remember what you've said. When you stand still while speaking, you're sending a silent but powerful message. You are confident in what you're saying, you are in control of the conversation, and you believe your words have value. People sense this immediately, and they adjust their own attention accordingly. Over time, this habit becomes one of the strongest tools you have for commanding respect and influencing others. The more you use this skill, the more you'll see its impact. You'll notice people leaning in to hear you better. You'll notice that interruptions happen less often because people are more engaged. You'll notice that your words have more weight because your physical presence supports them. And once you've experienced this effect, you'll understand why stillness is such a powerful form of communication. In every interaction, you have a choice. You can scatter your presence with unnecessary movement, or you can anchor it with stillness. The first keeps attention divided. The second keeps it centered on you. If you want people to hear, understand, and respect what you say, choose stillness. Let your words do the work, supported by a posture and presence that say clearly, without a single extra movement, that you are worth listening to.
Chapter 6. Challenge yourself daily with tasks you usually avoid. The fastest way to grow as a person and build lasting confidence is to face the very things you usually avoid. Everyone has tasks they push aside. They are often the ones that feel uncomfortable, intimidating, or simply inconvenient.
but avoiding them over and over builds a pattern of hesitation. Each time you skip a challenge, you send yourself the message that you're not ready for it. Over time, that message becomes a belief, and that belief limits your growth. The only way to break it is to do the opposite. Take on those very tasks every single day until the fear or resistance they create no longer controls you. Challenging yourself daily doesn't mean trying to do something impossible. It means deliberately stepping into situations that stretch you, even if they're small. It could be making a phone call you've been putting off, speaking up in a meeting, trying a workout you've been avoiding, or learning a skill you've been telling yourself you're not good at. These actions may seem minor in isolation, but their real value comes from the habit they create. When you train yourself to face challenges instead of avoiding them, you rewire the way you approach life. The truth is, confidence is not built in comfort. It's built in the moments when you feel tension, when you notice that small voice telling you to step back, and you choose to move forward instead. The people who seem naturally confident are often the ones who have trained themselves to keep moving through discomfort. They've learned that the moment of hesitation is the exact place where growth happens. You might think that doing one difficult thing a day won't make much of a difference, but imagine what happens when you repeat that for weeks, months, and years. You'll face hundreds of challenges you once avoided. Each one will leave you a little stronger, a little braver, and a little more capable. The person you become after a year of facing small daily challenges will feel completely different from the person who avoided them. One of the biggest benefits of this habit is that it changes your relationship with fear. Most people try to wait until they no longer feel afraid before they take action, but fear doesn't just vanish on its own. It fades when you prove to yourself that you can act despite it. The first time you face something you've been avoiding, you might feel nervous. The second time it feels easier. By the 10th time you wonder why it ever bothered you at all. That transformation only happens through repetition. Another advantage is that tackling avoided tasks builds discipline. Discipline is doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it. Every time you push yourself to complete something you'd normally put off, you're strengthening that discipline, and the stronger it gets, the more reliable you become in all areas of life. You stop waiting for motivation to strike and start acting because it's the right thing to do. That reliability is a huge part of both personality and confidence. People trust those who consistently follow through. It's also important to understand that these challenges don't have to be public or dramatic. The most powerful ones are often private. No one else has to see you doing them. What matters is that you see yourself doing them. You're building self-respect, and self-respect is the foundation of confidence. You know you can depend on yourself, and that quiet certainty changes the way you move through the world. Some days, the challenges will be small. Maybe you respond to an email you've been avoiding for a week. Other days they'll be bigger, like having a difficult conversation, or applying for an opportunity that intimidates you. The size doesn't matter as much as the consistency. The key is to make it a non-negotiable part of your day. One thing you usually avoid must get done today. No exception. When you start this habit, you may notice resistance creeping in quickly. Your mind will try to talk you out of it. It will give you excuses, distractions, and rationalizations. That's when you need to remember why you're doing this. Not to be perfect, but to become stronger. Each time you break through that resistance, you prove to yourself that you are in control, not your excuses. The changes you experience from this habit aren't just mental. Physically, you'll notice a difference in how you carry yourself. You'll walk with more purpose, speak with more assurance, and approach situations with less hesitation. That's because your brain starts to associate challenges with success instead of failure. The more often you win those small daily battles, the more you expect yourself to win in the future. There's also a ripple effect. Once you start challenging yourself in one area of life, you naturally start doing it in others. You might begin by pushing yourself at work, and soon you're taking on personal goals you've been avoiding. You might start with physical challenges, and eventually you're initiating conversations you once found intimidating. The habit spreads because you've built the muscle of action. One important thing to keep in mind is that challenges don't always need to be about fixing weaknesses. They can also be about expanding strengths. If you're already good at something but tend to stay within safe limits, push beyond them. Enter a competition, aim for a higher standard, or take on a project with more responsibility than you're used to. Growth happens at the edge of your comfort zone, whether that edge is in a weakness or a strength. The most valuable outcome of this habit is how it shapes your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who hesitates and start seeing yourself as someone who acts. That shift in identity is powerful because once you believe you're the kind of person who takes action, you'll look for opportunities to prove it again and again. It becomes a cycle of action and growth that keeps building on itself. In relationships, this habit makes you more dependable and more interesting. People can sense when you're someone who faces life head-on. They feel more comfortable relying on you because they know you won't shy away from what's difficult. They're also drawn to you because you have stories, experiences, and insights that only come from pushing yourself into new situations. Professionally, the difference can be even more noticeable. The people who get promoted, trusted with important projects, or given leadership roles are rarely the ones who only do what's easy. They're the ones who consistently step up for the tasks others avoid. They show they can handle pressure and uncertainty, which are essential qualities for leadership. By making daily challenges part of your life, you're training yourself for these moments before they arrive. It's worth remembering that you don't have to succeed at every challenge to benefit from it. The act of attempting something you'd normally avoid is valuable in itself. Even if you fail, you've broken the habit of avoiding. And often the lessons you learn from failed attempts are the very things that prepare you to succeed the next time. This is not a short-term strategy. The real power of challenging yourself daily comes from making it a permanent part of how you live. Over time, the things that used to intimidate you will feel routine. That doesn't mean the habit stops working. It means you'll keep raising the bar. As you grow, you'll find new areas to challenge yourself in, ensuring that you never stagnate. The person who takes on daily challenges is not the same person who avoids them. The difference is visible in their confidence, their personality, and their results in life. One is reactive, letting fear decide what gets done. The other is proactive, deciding for themselves what needs to be done and doing it. The choice of which one you become is made in the small moments, each day when you either face the task or turn away from it. If you commit to facing one avoided task every single day, you'll be amazed at how quickly your life starts to feel different. You'll begin to notice a deeper sense of pride at the end of each day, not because everything went perfectly, but because you showed up for yourself. That pride builds momentum, and momentum turns into transformation. Before long, you'll look back and realize that the things you once avoided without a second thought are now just part of your normal routine. That's when you'll know this habit has done its job. It has made you stronger, more capable, and more confident than you were before. And the best part is, there will always be another challenge waiting for you tomorrow, ready to push you just a little further and help you grow into the person you're capable of becoming.
Chapter 7. Speak slower to make your words more powerful. The speed at which you speak can determine whether your message has a real impact or fades into the background. When you speak too quickly, your words may come out before the listener has time to process them. They might catch your sentences, but miss your meaning. They might hear you, but not feel you. Speaking slower allows your words to breathe, gives the listener time to absorb your message, and shows that you have control over what you say. It communicates that you are not rushing to get it over with. You believe what you are saying is worth the listener's attention.
Many people speak fast without realizing it. Sometimes it's because they're nervous. Other times it's because they want to fit too many ideas into a short amount of time. In some cases, it's simply a habit formed over years. The problem is that when you speak too fast, you make it harder for others to connect with you. They may struggle to keep up or miss important details entirely. If you slow down, you give them the opportunity to engage with your message in a more meaningful way. Speaking slower is not about dragging out your sentences unnaturally. It's about finding a pace that feels deliberate and steady. It's about showing that you are in control of your delivery rather than letting nerves or excitement take over. When you slow your speech, you also gain more control over your tone, volume, and emphasis, which makes your words sound more confident and intentional. A slower pace also gives you room to choose your words carefully. Instead of rushing from one thought to the next, you have time to make sure what you say is clear and precise. This makes you sound more thoughtful and prepared. Listeners tend to respect someone who speaks with purpose rather than speed, because it signals that you are confident enough to take your time. Another important effect of speaking slower is that it gives weight to your pauses. Pauses are powerful tools in communication. They allow your message to sink in, create anticipation, and draw attention to what comes next. If you rush through your sentences without pausing, you deny yourself this tool. But if you slow down and use pauses strategically, you can make key points stand out without needing to repeat them. Slowing your speech also reduces misunderstandings. When you speak quickly, words can blend together, making it harder for people to follow you. This is especially true in professional settings, where clarity is crucial. A steady pace ensures that your message comes through exactly as you intend it. It also gives your audience space to react and respond, turning a monologue into a conversation. If you've ever listened to someone who speaks with calm, steady pacing, you've probably noticed how it changes the atmosphere of the interaction. People tend to relax, they feel that they can keep up and that their time is being respected. They also sense that the speaker is confident. Confidence is not about rushing to prove yourself, it's about delivering your message in a way that invites others to listen closely. Training yourself to speak slower starts with awareness. The next time you're in a conversation, pay attention to your pace. Notice if you tend to speed up when you're excited or when the topic is important to you. That's often when slowing down is most valuable, because it ensures your most important points are the ones that land clearly. Breathing is another key factor. Many people who speak quickly take shallow breaths, which leads to rushed speech. Deep, steady breaths help you maintain a slower pace and keep your voice strong. Before starting to speak, take a calm breath and let your first few words set the tone for the rest of your sentence. This not only slows you down but also makes your delivery feel more composed. Slowing your speech also makes you appear more credible. People associate fast, nervous talking with uncertainty, while measured, steady talking is linked with authority and trustworthiness. When you sound like you've thought through your words, people naturally believe you've thought through your ideas as well. You might worry that speaking slower will make you sound boring or less engaging. The opposite is true when it's done right. If you combine a steady pace with natural emphasis, varied tone, and clear expression, you draw people in. You give them time to connect emotionally with your message, instead of just processing the information mechanically. Speaking slower also helps you manage your own emotions during conversations. In moments of conflict or stress, a slower pace keeps you from blurting out something you might regret. It allows you to maintain composure, even when the topic is difficult. This is one of the reasons leaders and skilled communicators often speak more slowly during serious discussions. They are controlling the energy in the room and showing that they are thinking as they speak. In social situations, speaking slower makes your conversations more engaging. When you rush through your sentences, you may unintentionally cut off opportunities for others to respond. A slower pace creates space for others to contribute, which makes interactions feel more balanced and connected. It also gives you the chance to pick up on non-verbal cues from the listener, such as their facial expressions or body language, which can guide how you continue the conversation. To make speaking slower a consistent habit, practice it in low-pressure situations first. Use it when telling a story to a friend, explaining a concept to someone, or even reading something aloud to yourself. Focus on enunciating each word clearly and allowing short pauses between ideas. Over time, this pace will feel natural, and you'll be able to use it in higher pressure situations without thinking about it. It's also helpful to remind yourself that silence is not your enemy. Many people rush because they are uncomfortable with even a brief pause, but silence, when used intentionally, can be one of the most powerful tools you have. It gives your listener a moment to think and makes them more attentive to what you say next. It can turn an ordinary sentence into something memorable simply by giving it space to land. Speaking slower is a skill that impacts every area of life. In professional settings, it can help you lead meetings, give presentations, or handle negotiations more effectively. In personal relationships, it can make your conversations deeper and more meaningful. In everyday interactions, it can make you someone people enjoy listening to because you make them feel included and respected. Over time, you'll notice that speaking slower changes how people respond to you. They'll interrupt less because they can follow you easily. They'll remember more of what you say because you've given them time to process it. They'll see you as more confident because your pace suggests that you're comfortable in the moment. And you'll feel that same confidence building within yourself because you're no longer racing through your own thoughts, you're controlling them. The ability to slow your speech is not just about communication, it's about presence. When you slow down, you're not just giving your listener more time, you're giving yourself more control. You're anchoring yourself in the moment, showing that you have nothing to prove by rush. That kind of presence is rare, and it's one of the qualities that make people want to listen to you again and again. If you commit to practicing this every day, you'll find that your words carry more meaning. Your ideas are taken more seriously, and your presence feels stronger in any room you enter. Speaking slower is not about changing who you are, it's about refining how you express yourself, so that the power of your message is never lost in the speed of your delivery. It's a small change with an extraordinary impact, and once you see how it transforms your interactions, you'll never go back to rushing through your words again. Chapter 8. Ask thoughtful questions to make conversations more meaningful. The quality of your conversations often comes down to the quality of the questions you ask. Most people spend more time thinking about what they will say next than they do about what they could ask. But the right question can open up a conversation in a way that no clever statement can. It can make someone feel heard, understood, and valued. When you ask thoughtful questions, you invite the other person to share more than just surface details. You give them the space to express what truly matters to them. That is how ordinary exchanges turn into meaningful connections. A thoughtful question shows that you are paying attention. It proves that you are engaged with what the other person is saying, rather than just waiting for your turn to speak. When you ask something specific, based on what they have just shared, you demonstrate that you care about the detail. That makes the other person more likely to open up further, because they feel safe knowing that you are genuinely interested. The mistake many people make is asking questions out of habit instead of intention. They rely on generic routine phrases like "how's it going?" or "what's new?" These may be fine as a greeting, but they don't encourage deeper conversation. A thoughtful question digs a little deeper without feeling intrusive. It gives the other person a reason to think before they answer, and that thinking leads to a richer exchange. For example, if someone tells you they've started a new job, you could respond with, "That's great. What do you like most about it so far?" That question invites them to share their feelings, experiences, and perspectives, rather than just giving a short factual answer. If someone mentions they've been busy, instead of saying, "Oh, that's good," you could ask, "What's been taking up most of your time lately?" These kinds of questions turn a brief update into a more meaningful conversation. Asking thoughtful questions also shifts the focus away from yourself and toward the other person. This is important because people naturally enjoy talking about their own lives, especially when they feel someone is truly interested. When you give someone that opportunity, they associate you with positive feelings. They remember that you made them feel valued, and this builds trust and rapport. The key is to balance curiosity with respect. Thoughtful questions are not about prying into personal matters or making someone feel exposed. They are about giving someone the chance to share more if they choose to. Pay attention to their comfort level and adjust your questions accordingly. If they seem hesitant, you can steer the conversation to a different topic or ask something lighter. Being able to read the other person is just as important as the question you choose. One of the best ways to practice asking thoughtful questions is to listen actively. This means not just hearing the words, but noticing the tone, the pace, and the emotions behind them. Often the most meaningful questions come from picking up on something subtle, a slight change in expression, a pause before answering, or a shift in energy. If someone hesitates when talking about a project, you might say, "It sounds like there's more to that story. What happened?" This shows you noticed more than just the surface. Another benefit of asking thoughtful questions is that it keeps conversations flowing naturally. Instead of jumping from topic to topic, you create a rhythm where one answer naturally leads to the next question. This keeps both people engaged and reduces awkward silences. It also makes you a better conversational partner because you are guiding the interaction without dominating it. In professional settings, thoughtful questions can set you apart as someone who is attentive and solution-oriented. If a colleague shares a challenge, asking "What do you think would make that easier?" not only shows you care, but also invites collaboration. In leadership roles, asking "What do you need most from me right now?" can strengthen relationships and improve teamwork. People are more likely to respect and follow someone who takes the time to understand their perspective. In personal relationships, these kinds of questions deepen emotional connection. Asking your friend, "What's been the highlight of your week?" or asking your partner, "What's something you've been wanting to talk about but haven't had the chance to?" can open the door to more honest and heartfelt conversations. These moments of openness build bonds that last far beyond the conversation itself. Thoughtful questions also help you learn more about the world and the people in it. Every person you meet knows something you don't. They have experiences, insights, and stories you've never heard. By asking the right questions, you tap into that knowledge. You see the world through different perspectives, which not only makes you more informed, but also more understanding. It's worth noting that asking thoughtful questions requires patience. Sometimes people need time to think about their answer. If you jump in too quickly with your own thoughts, you may miss the deeper response they were about to give. Silence is not something to fear in conversation. It can be a sign that the other person is reflecting, and that reflection often leads to the most meaningful answer. To get better at asking these kinds of questions, you can prepare yourself with a mindset of curiosity before entering conversations. Instead of thinking, "What should I talk about?" think, "What can I learn about this person?" This shift changes the way you listen and respond. It keeps you from defaulting to predictable questions and encourages you to adapt based on the flow of the conversation. Body language also plays a role in making your questions effective. If you ask something thoughtful but your eyes are elsewhere or your body is turned away, the question loses its impact. Look at the person, nod as they speak, and respond in a way that matches the tone of the conversation. This shows that your question is not just for the sake of talking, it's part of a genuine exchange. One of the most powerful outcomes of asking thoughtful questions is that it makes people more willing to ask you thoughtful questions in return. When you model genuine interest, others tend to mirror it. This creates a richer dialogue where both people feel equally invested in the interaction. Instead of shallow small talk, you both walk away feeling like you learned something about each other. This skill becomes even more valuable when dealing with people you don't know well. First impressions are often built on how someone feels during the first few minutes of meeting you. If you can make them feel seen and heard through the questions you ask, you instantly stand out. You show that you are not just passing time, you are truly engaging with them as a person. The more you practice this, the more natural it becomes. You won't have to think about what to ask next, because your curiosity will guide you. You'll start to notice details others miss, and your questions will come from a place of genuine connection rather than from a script. This makes your conversations feel effortless and authentic. Over time, you will notice that people open up to you more easily. They will share details and thoughts they might not share with others. This is because they trust you to listen without judgment and to respond with understanding. That trust is a rare and valuable thing, and it is built one thoughtful question at a time. Asking thoughtful questions is not about trying to impress anyone. It's about building relationships that matter. It's about turning every conversation into an opportunity to connect, understand, and grow. When you approach interactions with this mindset, you not only make the conversation more meaningful for the other person, but also enrich your own life with new perspectives and deeper connection. If you make a habit of asking thoughtful questions every day, you will quickly see the difference in how people respond to you. They will remember the way you made them feel, the interest you showed, and the space you gave them to share. That memory will last far longer than any small talk ever could, and it will set you apart as someone who knows how to make conversations truly meaningful.
Chapter 9. Hold your ground when someone doubts your ability. When someone doubts your ability, you are faced with a moment that can either weaken you or strengthen you. The way you respond determines which it will be. Doubt from others can sting, especially when it comes from people you respect or from those whose opinions hold influence. But it's also an opportunity to show exactly what you're capable of, not just to them, but to yourself. Holding your ground is about staying firm in your belief in your own skills and refusing to let someone else's uncertainty define you. When a person questions your ability, they're often speaking from their own perspective, shaped by their own limits, experiences, or fears. That doesn't mean their judgment is accurate. Many times, people underestimate others because they've already decided what's possible based on their own limitations. If you let their doubt dictate your actions, you are giving them power over your growth. If you hold your ground, you keep that power for yourself. The first part of holding your ground is not reacting out of anger or insecurity. It's natural to feel defensive, but defensiveness rarely convinces anyone. Instead, take a breath and remind yourself of your own track record. You've faced challenges before, learned skills, solved problems, and pushed through setbacks. The person doubting you might not know the full story of what you've overcome, but you do. That knowledge is what you stand on when you refuse to shrink in the face of doubt. Sometimes, holding your ground means responding with calm confidence. If someone questions whether you can complete a task, you can acknowledge their concern without accepting their verdict. You might say, "I understand it. It might seem challenging, but I know I can handle it," and then prove it through your actions. You're not wasting energy trying to convince them with words alone. You're showing them through results. There will be situations where the doubt is not spoken directly, but implied through someone's behavior.
They may overlook you for an opportunity, hesitate to trust you with responsibility, or subtly suggest that someone else might be better suited. In those moments, you still have the chance to demonstrate your ability by staying consistent and delivering strong work. Over time, consistent results are impossible to ignore. It's important to remember that not all doubt is malicious. Sometimes, people genuinely don't know what you're capable of because they haven't seen it yet. But whether the doubt is rooted in ignorance, caution, or underestimation, your approach is the same. Stand firm, do the work, and let your performance speak. If you crumble under doubt, you validate it. If you rise above it, you erase it. Holding your ground also requires being clear about your own standards. When you know what you expect from yourself, you won't be as shaken by what others expect of you. You won't need constant reassurance or permission to go after what you want. You'll operate from a place of self-trust, which is the strongest foundation you can have when others are unsure of you. There's another layer to this. Sometimes the person doubting you is yourself. Internal doubt can be even more damaging than external doubt, because it works from the inside out. When external doubt meets internal doubt, it can stop you before you start. That's why building self-belief through preparation, skill development, and daily discipline is so critical. If you've done the work, you'll have the proof you need to push back against both your own fears and anyone else's. When someone doubts your ability in a public setting, the temptation can be to overcompensate, to prove yourself right then and there in an aggressive way. But the strongest position is often restraint. A calm, steady demeanor shows that you are not rattled. It shows that you value action over argument. People notice when you remain composed under pressure. It sends the signal that you are capable of handling more than just the task at hand. You can handle the challenges that come with it. It's also worth recognizing that you don't need everyone to believe in you. You only need enough belief in yourself to keep moving forward. There will always be critics, skeptics, and people who fail to see your potential. If you stop every time you meet one, you'll never finish anything worthwhile. Part of holding your ground is accepting that some people will never change their minds, and that's fine. Your growth and success are not dependent on their approval. At times, doubt from others can be used as fuel. It can push you to sharpen your skills, work harder, and prepare more thoroughly. This isn't about trying to prove someone wrong for the sake of their opinion. It's about using the situation as motivation to raise your own standards. You turn their doubt into a reason to become even better, which benefits you in the long run regardless of what they think. Maintaining professionalism when someone doubts you is essential. If you respond with hostility or sarcasm, you risk damaging your credibility. But if you respond with focus, persistence, and quality work, you strengthen it. Even if the person never admits they were wrong, others will see how you handled the situation and respect you for it. You should also be ready to back up your confidence with preparation. Belief in yourself is important, but it's most powerful when paired with skill and readiness. If you've put in the time to prepare, you can stand your ground without hesitation. If you haven't, doubt from others might hit harder, because deep down you'll know they have a point. The solution is simple. Do the work ahead of time, so that when the moment comes, you can meet it without flinching. In some cases, holding your ground means asking for the opportunity to show what you can do. If someone is unsure about you, you can say, "Give me the chance to handle this, and I'll show you the results." This approach is proactive. You're not waiting for them to change their mind on their own. You're taking initiative to create the proof they need to. As you develop this habit, you'll notice that your resilience grows. Situations that once would have shaken you will start to feel manageable. Instead of avoiding challenges where others might doubt you, you'll seek them out. You'll see them as opportunities to strengthen your reputation and your self-image at the same time. Holding your ground is not about being stubborn for the sake of it. It's about knowing when to stand firm, because the goal or task is worth it. It's about understanding your own value and refusing to let someone else's limited perspective define your capabilities. The more you practice this, the more natural it becomes. You start to respond to doubt with action instead of emotion, and that shift is what builds lasting confidence. In the end, the most important opinion you have to manage is your own. If you can walk away from a situation knowing you stood firm, stayed true to your standards, and gave your best effort, you've won regardless of what anyone else thinks. That's the kind of self-assurance that doesn't fade, because it's built on proof you've given yourself again and again. The next time someone doubts your ability, take it as a signal to steady yourself, not to shrink. Speak clearly, act decisively, and follow through with the work. Show them through consistency and results that their doubt was misplaced. Even if they never say it out loud, they'll know. More importantly, you'll know. And once you've proven to yourself that you can hold your ground under doubt, you'll carry that strength into every challenge you face from that point forward.
Chapter 10. Take the lead in situations where others hesitate. There are moments in life when a group is faced with a decision, a challenge, or an opportunity, and everyone looks around waiting for someone else to move first. These moments are not always dramatic. They can be as small as deciding where to go for a meeting, or as big as steering a team through a difficult project. In these situations, hesitation spreads quickly. People are afraid of making the wrong choice, of standing out, or of taking on responsibility that could bring criticism. But those are the exact moments where leadership is built. If you step forward when others stay still, you not only move the situation forward, you also show yourself and others that you are willing to take ownership when it matters. Taking the lead when others hesitate is not about trying to dominate or control every situation. It is about recognizing when progress depends on someone making the first move and having the courage to be that person. In many cases, the hesitation of others has nothing to do with lack of ability. It's about fear of judgment or uncertainty about the next step. By stepping up, you cut through that uncertainty and create momentum. People naturally respond to movement. Once someone takes the lead, it becomes easier for others to join in and contribute. This willingness to lead is noticed even if it's not always acknowledged out loud. In workplaces, leaders are often identified not by their titles but by their actions. When a problem arises and you are the one to suggest a path forward, people remember it. In social situations, friends and acquaintances gravitate toward those who make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. Over time, this habit of stepping up creates a reputation. You become the person people look to when decisions need to be made. One of the reasons people hesitate is the fear of being wrong. The risk of failure can be paralyzing if you see it as a permanent mark on your credibility. But strong leaders understand that failure is not the enemy in action is. Even if the decision you make doesn't lead to a perfect outcome, it moves you forward and gives you information you wouldn't have had otherwise. That information can be used to adjust and improve, but without that first step, there's nothing to build on. Taking the lead also means accepting responsibility for the outcome, good or bad. This is where real confidence comes in. Anyone can speak up when they know their choice will be safe and successful, but it takes self-assurance to act when the result is uncertain. This is why leading in moments of hesitation builds more than just influence. It builds inner strength. You prove to yourself that you can handle the weight of responsibility and that self-knowledge makes you more decisive in the future. To lead effectively in these situations, you need to stay calm while others are uncertain. Panic or rushed energy will make people less likely to follow your direction. Instead, take a moment to assess the situation. Think about the most logical next step, even if you don't have the full picture yet. Then communicate clearly and act with purpose. When others see that you are steady and decisive, they are far more likely to trust your lead. It's important to remember that leading when others hesitate does not mean you have to have all the answers.
Many people think leadership is about having the perfect solution right away, but in reality it's often about creating a starting point. You can say, here's what I think we should try first, and then adjust as new information comes in. This approach not only gets things moving, but also invites others to contribute without feeling the pressure of making the first move themselves. Over time, stepping up in moments of hesitation teaches you to be comfortable with uncertainty. Most people wait for clarity before they act, but clarity often comes after you've taken the first step, not before. When you learn to move despite uncertainty, you separate yourself from those who wait for perfect conditions. Perfect conditions almost never come, and if they do, they don't last. Progress belongs to those who act before they have every detail. Another key part of taking the lead is being willing to stand out. In moments of hesitation, the group blends together in stillness. The person who steps forward immediately stands apart, and not everyone is comfortable with that attention. But if you want to grow in influence, you have to be okay with being visible. Visibility brings both praise and criticism, and leadership is about being willing to handle both. This habit also creates personal growth far beyond the immediate situation. You begin to see yourself differently, not as someone who waits for direction, but as someone who can provide it. That identity shift changes the way you approach opportunities. You stop asking, will someone else handle this, and start asking, what can I do to move this forward? That proactive mindset leads to more achievements and deeper self-confidence. In professional life, the ability to take the lead in moments of hesitation is one of the traits most valued by employers and teams. It signals initiative, problem-solving ability, and reliability. In personal life, it can strengthen relationships because people trust you to step up when it matters. Friends, family, and colleagues start to see you as dependable, not just when things are easy, but when things are uncertain. One challenge you may face is the fear of overstepping. You might worry that by taking the lead, you're stepping into someone else's role or making people uncomfortable. The way to handle this is to focus on collaboration rather than control. You can say, here's what I suggest we do. What do you think? This shows that you're willing to act, but you're also open to input. It invites cooperation rather than resistance, and it still breaks the cycle of hesitation. Another obstacle is self-doubt. You might think, who am I to take the lead here? The answer is simple. You're the person who's willing to see. That alone puts you ahead of the many people who wait for someone else to go first. You don't need to be the most experienced or the most knowledgeable. You just need to be willing to start. And that willingness is what builds experience and knowledge over time. Leading in moments of hesitation also strengthens your decision-making skills. The more you practice, the better you get at assessing situations quickly and choosing a course of action. You become more comfortable making decisions with limited information, which is a skill that benefits every area of life. And because you've built this habit, you're less likely to freeze when unexpected challenges arise. It's also worth noting that people often remember who took the lead in difficult or uncertain situations. They may forget the exact details of what happened, but they will remember the person who gave direction and created movement when no one else would. That memory can shape how they see you for years to come, influencing opportunities and relationships in ways you might not expect. The more you practice this, the more natural it becomes. At first you might have to consciously push yourself to step up. Over time, it will feel automatic. You'll see hesitation not as a signal to wait, but as an opening for you to act. That mindset makes you valuable in any setting, because you bring clarity and momentum when others bring uncertainty. Taking the lead when others hesitate is one of the clearest demonstrations of confidence. It shows that you trust yourself enough to move forward without needing perfect certainty. It shows that you are willing to take responsibility, even when there is risk. And it shows that you value progress over comfort. These qualities will not only set you apart, they will shape you into someone who can handle greater challenges and greater opportunities. If you make this a habit, you'll notice that hesitation no longer intimidates you. You'll start to see it as your cue, the moment when your role becomes clear. You'll find that people seek you out for guidance, not because you always have the perfect answer, but because they know you will act when others are stuck. That kind of trust is earned through action, and it's built one decisive moment at a time. Every time you take the lead in a moment of hesitation, you are building your confidence, your reputation, and your ability to influence the direction of events. Those moments are not just about solving a problem, they're about shaping who you are, and the more you step into them, the more you become the kind of person who doesn't just watch life happen, but takes part in creating it.